It was a long day for Michael. The sky outside the grocery store was turning amber, and the last rays of sunlight spilled through the glass doors as he pushed a squeaky cart toward the checkout line. His 7-year-old daughter, Emma, sat inside the cart, swinging her legs and humming some tune she'd learned at school. He was a single dad, and though he tried not to show it, the weight of the world often rested quietly on his shoulders. Tonight was one of those nights, when the bills, the loneliness, and the exhaustion pressed a little harder than usual. He scanned the aisles one last time, making sure he had everything: milk, bread, cereal, apples, and a small chocolate bar he promised Emma for being good. When he reached the cashier, a young woman greeted him softly. "Good evening," she said, her voice trembling slightly, almost like she was trying to keep it steady. Michael smiled politely and started unloading his items. "Hey there, how's your day going?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "It's okay," she replied, scanning a loaf of bread. Her hands were shaking so much that the bread nearly slipped. Michael noticed it right away. The way her fingers trembled wasn't just from being cold or tired. It looked like something deeper, something that came from the inside. "You okay?" he asked gently. "Your hands are shaking." She froze for a second, clearly caught off guard. "Oh, yeah, I'm fine," she said quickly, forcing a smile. But her hands didn't stop. The scanner beeped again as she ran the next item through, but it was clear her focus wasn't there. Michael tilted his head slightly, his voice softening. "You sure? You look like you've had a rough day." She hesitated this time. The kind of hesitation that tells you someone wants to tell the truth but doesn't know if they can. Then, after a long pause, she whispered, "It's just been a long day. You don't need to worry." Emma, curious as always, leaned over the edge of the cart. "Are you sick?" she asked innocently. The young woman blinked, and for the first time she laughed, a tiny, cracked sound but real. "No, sweetheart, not sick, just a little nervous, I guess." Michael gave her a kind smile. "Well, we all get nervous sometimes." The woman nodded, scanning the last few items, but Michael could still see her hands trembling. Something inside him told him not to just let it go. Maybe it was the part of him that had learned to notice pain in others, the same way he noticed it in himself, late at night when the house was quiet and the only sound was the ticking of the old clock in the kitchen. When she finished, she told him the total, and as he handed her his card, he saw a small bandage wrapped around her wrist. It looked fresh. She noticed him looking, and for a second their eyes met, just long enough for him to see the flicker of something she was trying hard to hide. "Rough day, huh?" he said quietly as he took the receipt. She nodded again, but this time her eyes glistened. "You could say that," she murmured. There was a silence between them, the kind that feels heavy but not uncomfortable. Then, almost as if the words slipped out on their own, Michael said, "You know, sometimes it helps to talk, even if it's just for a minute." The cashier blinked, startled by his kindness. She glanced toward the empty lane behind him, realizing no one else was waiting. For a brief moment, she seemed to consider it. I just started this job last week," she began hesitantly. "I was trying so hard to keep it together. My hands, they always shake when I'm anxious. And today," her voice cracked, "today was just hard." Michael nodded slowly. "New job nerves." She shook her head. "Not exactly, it's just everything." She laughed bitterly. "My mom's in the hospital, I'm behind on rent, and I can't seem to do anything right lately. Every time I drop something or mess up a scan, I feel like I'm proving everyone right, that I'm not good enough." Her confession came out in a rush, and when she finished, she looked embarrassed, like she hadn't meant to say that much. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "You didn't ask for all that." Michael didn't say anything right away. He just looked at her with quiet understanding. "Don't apologize," he said softly. "Sometimes you just need someone to listen." She smiled weakly, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "You're really kind. Most people just get annoyed if I take too long." He chuckled. "I've had those days too. Trust me. I know how it feels to think the world's watching, waiting for you to mess up." She gave him a puzzled look. "You seem like you've got it together." Michael laughed lightly, the sound edged with irony. "Far from it. I'm a single dad. Half the time I'm running on coffee and luck. The other half I'm just praying I don't forget something important." Her eyebrows rose slightly. "You're a single dad." He nodded. "Yeah, it's been a few years now. My wife passed away when Emma was 3. Some days I think I'm doing okay. Other days," he trailed off, his gaze distant for a second. "Other days I feel like I'm just trying to hold it all together." The young woman's eyes softened. "I'm so sorry," she said quietly. "That must be really hard." He shrugged gently. "It is, but you learn things, like how to keep going even when you don't think you can, how to smile for your kid even when you're breaking inside, and how to notice when someone else looks like they're fighting their own storm." She swallowed hard. "That's really kind of you to say." Emma tugged on her dad's sleeve. "Daddy always says that people who smile the least need the biggest hugs," she said, grinning. The cashier smiled for real this time, a soft, trembling smile that made her eyes glisten again. "Your daughter's very sweet." "She gets it from her mom," Michael said softly, almost to himself. The young woman looked down for a moment, composing herself. Then she said, "You know, it's weird. Sometimes strangers say exactly what you need to hear. I've been so scared lately, like I'm drowning, and no one even notices." Michael reached into his wallet and pulled out a small, worn photo. It was of him and Emma at the park, both of them laughing with ice cream smeared on their faces. He showed it to her. "You see this? That day I was falling apart inside, lost my job the day before. I didn't know how I'd pay rent, but look at that smile on her face." He pointed to Emma in the photo. "That reminded me that even when everything's collapsing, there's still something worth holding on to." The cashier stared at the photo for a long time. Then she whispered, "That's beautiful." He nodded. "You've got someone, don't you? Someone worth holding on to." She hesitated. "My mom," she said finally. "She's been sick for months. I've been trying to work and take care of her. I keep thinking I'm failing her." Michael shook his head. "You're not failing, you're showing up, every single day. Even when it's hard, even when your hands shake, you're still standing. That's strength." Her eyes filled again, but this time with something like relief. "No one ever said that to me before," she whispered. "Well," Michael said, smiling, "maybe they should have." There was a small silence, filled with the soft hum of the store's fluorescent lights. The air between them felt different now, lighter somehow, like a heavy fog had started to lift. Emma reached out and handed the cashier the chocolate bar. "You can have this," she said shyly. "It makes people happy." The cashier blinked, clearly taken aback. "Oh, sweetheart, I can't take your candy." "It's okay," Emma said firmly. "Daddy can get me another one. This one's for you." The woman laughed softly through her tears and took the chocolate, holding it like it was something precious. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You don't know how much that means." Michael smiled. "Sometimes it's the little things that matter most." She nodded, blinking back tears. "You really made my night, both of you." He reached out his hand. "Michael." She took it carefully, her grip still trembling but a little steadier now. "I'm Lily," she said. "Nice to meet you, Lily. Hang in there, okay? You're doing better than you think." Lily nodded, her lips quivering into a smile. "I'll try." As Michael and Emma walked out of the store, the night air greeted them with a soft chill. Emma looked up at her dad. "Daddy, why was the lady sad?" He sighed, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Because sometimes, sweetheart, people go through things we can't see, but a little kindness can make a big difference." Emma thought about that for a moment, then smiled. "Like giving her my chocolate." "Exactly," he said, smiling down at her. "You made her night better." They walked to the car, the parking lot glowing under the streetlights. Michael loaded the groceries in the trunk, and for a brief moment, he looked back toward the store. Through the glass doors, he could still see Lily behind the counter, her hands steady now as she rang up another customer, a small smile on her face. That image stayed with him all night, and later, when he tucked Emma into bed, he thought about how a simple question, "Why are your hands shaking?" had opened a door neither of them expected. Sometimes the smallest acts of compassion ripple farther than you'll ever know. A few days later, Michael stopped by the store again. He wasn't even planning to buy much, just some milk and fruit. But when he got to the register, Lily was there. Her face lit up when she saw him. "Hey," she said brightly. "I was hoping I'd see you again." He smiled, "Glad to see you're doing better." She nodded, laughing lightly. "I am, actually. That night, you have no idea what it meant. I went home and talked to my mom for hours. I told her I was scared, and she told me she was proud of me. I hadn't heard her say that in a long time." Michael felt something warm in his chest. "That's good to hear. I'm happy for you." She handed him his receipt and hesitated before saying, "You know, you reminded me that people care. I forgot what that felt like." He smiled softly. "Well, don't forget again. You deserve kindness too." When he walked away, Lily stood there for a long moment, watching him leave, her hands perfectly still. That night, Michael put Emma to bed again, and as he sat on the couch with a cup of tea, he thought about how strange life was. You go through your own storms, thinking you're the only one struggling, and then you meet someone who's fighting a battle just as hard. Maybe, he thought, we're all just trying to keep each other steady in our own quiet ways. Weeks passed, and every now and then he'd see Lily at the store. Her smile grew brighter each time, her confidence stronger. She even laughed with other customers, the tremor in her hands nearly gone. One day, she told him her mom was improving, that things were looking up. "It feels like life, finally giving me a break," she said. "And I think it started the night you asked me that question." Michael smiled. "Funny how one small thing can change everything." "Yeah," she said softly, "it really can." He waved goodbye, and as he left the store with Emma, he realized that maybe kindness wasn't just something you gave. It was something that always found its way back. And somewhere between the quiet hum of the store lights and the laughter of his daughter echoing through the parking lot, he understood something simple yet profound. Sometimes the universe brings two broken souls together not to fix each other completely, but to remind them that they're not alone. And that single question, the one spoken softly across a grocery counter, was enough to change both of their lives forever.